All right, everybody, welcome to the video here going over our second weekly skill check for trigonometry. So you notice I have all the work done here. I'm just going to kind of leave the question up for a minute so you can check what you have, and then I'll just kind of quickly go through how I solved this. So for the first one, you first notice I'm giving you cosecant. Remember, that's the reciprocal of sine. So if you know the cosecant 7/3, you know right away the sine is 3/7. Also tells us it's in quadrant 2, so that's how I started the triangle. So I drew my triangle in quadrant 2, I labeled the opposite side 3, and the hypotenuse side 7. From there, I then went through and did the Pythagorean theorem, and I found the missing side I didn't know was 2 square roots of 10. Once I know all 3 sides, I should be able to find the rest of the ratios. So the first one I found was cosine, which should be the adjacent side over the hypotenuse side. Also in quadrant 2, it's negative. I then found the tangent, which also is negative in quadrant 2, but I noticed I had a square root of 10 in the denominator. I don't like that, and the directions did say simplest form. So if I multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 10, I can simplify by rationalizing, and that's where that negative 3 square root of 10 over 20 comes from. The last two are the reciprocals of cosine and tangent, so I'm just going to take what I found for cosine and flip it. So that's going to give me secant. Again, for secant, I have that square root of 10 in the denominator, so I'll rationalize it, multiply the square root of 10 on top and bottom. For cotangent, I just flipped the original fraction I found for tan. So the original fraction I found for tan was 3 over 2 square roots of 10, so I just flipped that, and that's where that ratio came from. So I'll just leave that up there so you can check it, you can pause the video, whatever you want to do. For number two, we have a point that's on the unit circle. As soon as I see that I have a point on the unit circle, I already know the cosine value is the x value and the sine value is the y value. So since the cosine value is negative 5 over 13 and the sine value is negative 12 over 13, I know I'm in quadrant 3. That's why I drew my triangle in quadrant 3. Now to find the missing side there, you don't really need to. I know every side of this triangle because I know the coordinate. I know the adjacent side's 5, I know the hypotenuse side is 13, I know the opposite side is 12. So then I just have to go through and find the remaining functions it asks me for. So it asks me for cosecant, which is the reciprocal of sine, so I'll just flip the sine ratio. The secant ratio, I'll just flip the cosine ratio. Then to find cotangent, I first found tangent even though it didn't ask me to. In quadrant 3, we know tangent's positive, it's opposite over adjacent, so 12 over 5. So then the cotangent would just be the reciprocal or the flip of that. Number 3 gives us 4 conversions that we had to do. So for the first 2, they were radians. I wanted you to convert to degrees. So to convert from radians to degrees, you multiply by 180 over pi. That ratio should be in your notes. It's something I'll give you on a quiz or a test. The pi's cancel, and then I'm just really typing in my calculator 5/4 times 180. And that's where the 225 comes from. The 2 pi over 3, again, the pi's cancel. So then I'm just figuring out, well, what's 2/3 times 180? So that's 120. For the other 2, I gave you degree values and I wanted you to convert them to radians. I wasn't specific if I wanted it in a fraction form or a decimal form. About half of you did it one way and the other half did it the other, so I figured I'd give both answers here. So for that first one, I multiplied by pi over 180. So now I'm just reducing the fraction 240 over 180, that becomes 4/3, so I leave it as 4/3 pi. Or if I type 4/3 pi into my calculator, I get 4.19 rounded. For 330, same thing. I'm going to get 330 pi over 180, reduce the 330 pi over 180, it becomes 11 pi over 6. you left it like that, that's good. But the second one, if you go through and type that into calculator, you get 5.76. All right, hopefully that video helped those of you that were maybe confused about this, because we don't have a ton of time in class to go over a lot of this, but if you need help, just reach out or come to one of my extra help sessions if I have them. All right, I'll see you all soon.